Terms of the lease say that as long as Prince Andrew maintains the upkeep of the property and the repairs and the renovations, then he is within the terms of the lease, and therefore it is very difficult to remove him or for him to move.
For employees working under Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, life beyond the opulent walls of Royal Lodge was anything but the refined picture that the public had previously perceived. A tense home characterized by rigid rules, outbursts, and a craving for total control is revealed by new testimonies from former staff. These tales now have a fresh significance since Andrew was stripped of all titles and honors and told to quit Royal Lodge. They provide an insight into the power dynamics between the former Duke and Duchess of York as well as the atmosphere that formerly existed beyond the palace gates. Andrew's co-workers define him as challenging, irritable, and frequently impolite. According to a former palace maid, Andrew stood out for his impatience and entitlement, whereas other members of the royal staff were formal but friendly. She said that employees were frequently afraid to make a mistake because they knew that even a small mistake, like a breakfast tray positioned slightly off-center or a curtain drawn too tightly, may result in an angry reaction.
Andrew is being stripped of his prince title. But why now? Buckingham Palace said the king has today initiated a formal process, and his younger brother will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He gave up his other titles earlier this month, including the Duke of York, after facing questions about his private.
He was erratic, according to a former assistant, who also said, "You could hear him shouting before you saw him." The same behavior, an attitude that made him difficult to work with, and a rage that erupted over the smallest matters were apparently observed by even his previous protection personnel. Andrew had his own set of regulations that were much more stringent than anyone could have imagined in a setting where everyone was expected to adhere to royal procedure. Former palace employees described Andrew's fascination with his collection of teddy bears as one of the most bizarre habits. He reportedly had about 72 stuffed animals, all of them clothed in uniforms and sailor costumes. Before he entered the room each morning, staff had to place them on his bed in the exact order of largest to smallest. Staff members ran the risk of receiving reprimands if even one bear went missing.
Yeah, so Tom Quinn's released this really kind of humorous book in a way, talking about, the lives of the staff at the palaces. What is it really like being, a maid or a butler to a member of the royal family? And unsurprisingly, some of the kind of craziest stuff in there was about the staff who work for the Duke of York.
To exacerbate the situation, it has been stated that new hires received training solely to learn how to properly organize them. Every toy's precise location was indicated by a laminated schematic that was stored on a bedside table. The diagram looked like a battlefield layout, according to a former guard who viewed it. The bears were to be taken out each night and arranged in the same predetermined pattern across the space. Includes a set carefully piled inside the fireplace that was not in use. It may seem ridiculous to the outside world, but for those who worked at the lodge, it was just a part of everyday life and demonstrated how controlling and picky Andrew could be about his surroundings. Employees remarked that Andrew's home felt less like a home and more like a military installation. Everything had a set of rules. How his breakfast was prepared, how his shoes were arranged, and how his clothes were folded. He was alleged to publicly reprimand employees for small mistakes and fire anyone who disagreed with him. According to an insider, he treated individuals as though they were beneath him. You weren't there to talk, but to serve.
There were some really funny things in there. We've known this before, that he is obsessed with teddy bears. He has 40 teddy bears that have to be assembled and arranged perfectly. Staff are given a chart to arrange Prince Andrew's teddy bears on his bed every day.
His fury was widely known within the palace, and many employees would prefer to work for someone else, even senior royal aides secretly acknowledged. There was always tension at the Royal Lodge. Employees reported that there was a sense of heaviness in the air as everyone watched what they said, waiting for his attitude to change. It was best expressed by a former employee. You had no idea which version of him you would encounter. 1 minute courteous, the next yelling. Staff members had thoughts regarding Sarah Ferguson's work behind the scenes, even if Andrew's actions dominated the news. She was seen as gregarious and vivacious during her early years in the royal family, frequently interacting with employees in a relaxed and welcoming manner. However, Insiders claim that her demeanor altered as her marriage fell apart and public scrutiny increased.
Well, the king has been keen that he should move for a considerable time. But the problem is, how do you actually persuade him to move? And quite honestly, in the last week, I think people's views.
According to a former assistant, Sarah was pleasant but tense, and her attitude may change based on the stress she was under. She reportedly had sporadic arguments with employees about trivial issues, once allegedly causing a staff member to cry following a heated argument. According to palace insiders from that era, she was charming to some but unpredictable to others. In contrast to Diana, who was regarded by staff as calm and compassionate, Sarah was thought to be impetuous, quick to laugh, but also prone to losing her temper when under pressure. However, several recent Royal Lodge employees have said that Sarah frequently attempted to act as a buffer when Andrew's fury erupted.
This is why one of the reasons the Queen loved you so much and you were so special to her. What did she mean to you?
Oh, she just, I think I was just myself with her. And I was allowed to be myself with her, which is such a joy.
After a shouting incident, a former employee told reporters that she would occasionally intervene to calm him down since she was the only person he seemed to listen to. That unique connection shaped their post-divorce existence together for years. United by habit, history, and possibly convenience, two foreign spouses continue to share a home. But at last, that arrangement is ending. Andre Mountbatten Windsor has been forced to leave Royal Lodge after all remaining honours and royal privileges have been revoked. He has consented to move to a private property on the Sandringham estate, a smaller, more modest dwelling that is nonetheless under royal supervision, according to people close to the Crown estate. But Sarah Ferguson is not going to accompany him. She apparently thought she would live at Royal Lodge forever and sold her £4 million house earlier this year. However, she must now make her own arrangements because Andrew's lease has been revoked.
I mean, did you take the money? At one stage you had $40,000 cash sitting in front of you. Did you take it?
Absolutely, yes. And it was given to me and I got it in the car and then returned it straight away.
Once the scandal broke?
As soon as I knew it was a scandal, not once it broke, Michael.
One insider said that she is privately devastated. Her final connection to royal life was Royal Lodge, where she felt safe. The ex-couple will live apart for the first time in almost 20 years. While she looks for a new home, he will relocate to Norfolk, which is distant from the Windsor estate. Former employees' accounts depict a control-oriented home where kindness and respect were subordinated to privilege, power, and ego. Andrew and Sarah attempted to put on a unified front for years, presenting themselves as the happiest divorced couple in the world. However, that delusion has now finally come to an end. Andrew loses his house, his position, and the royal persona that once shielded him. Sarah, on the other hand, must contend with an uncertain future devoid of financial stability, royal privilege, or the protective walls of a royal lodge. What's left are the tales of employees who put up with grueling hours, strict regulations, and erratic behavior in a home that has now come to represent deterioration. What do these discoveries actually tell us, then? Life in the royal household may be anything but royal, despite the grandeur and ritual. Scandal is no longer the only factor in Andre's demise. It's the inevitable outcome of luxury and conceit, and Sarah's next action might ultimately determine whether she quietly disappears into the background or reinvents herself outside of the royal system. According to sources, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, their daughters, have completely removed themselves from the turmoil surrounding their parents. In the midst of the growing scandal and media attention, both women have reportedly quietly fled the UK and sought safety abroad with their young families, according to royal sources. It's thought that Eugenie spends a lot of time in Portugal, where her husband, Jack Brooks, manages properties for a posh resort. In the meantime, Beatrice is reportedly splitting her time between Europe and the United States to avoid the scrutiny of the British media. According to royal sources, both sisters are extremely disturbed by the recent events and believe that their parents' failure has forced them to take a back seat. As the repercussions intensifies, it seems that the House of York has broken up, with each family member withdrawing in a different way. For more updates on the continuous disintegration of the former Duke and Duchess of York and what their departure from Royal Lodge actually means for the Windsor family's future, please subscribe and leave your comments below.